Welcome to Trail Talk, the monthly San Gorgonio chapter Zoom presentation about various topics about hikes and all kinds of other outdoor activities that you can do. And I am your host, John St. Clair. I'm your Zoom host. And I want to go over a couple of rules for this Zoom meeting. Many of you have already been attending the Trail Talk meetings, but maybe some of you haven't. So I'd like everybody to mute themselves, and I can see a number of people who aren't muted yet. And at the end of the presentation tonight, you can unmute yourself and ask questions directly. But during the presentation, what we want you to do, if you have a question, is to write it in the chat box so you don't forget the question. And then it will be relayed to either Carla or Julianne. Will relay it to me, and then I can answer those questions either during or at the end. The way you find the chat box, if you're not familiar with that, on most computers, it's down at the bottom. It's a little talking bubble. You click on it and it opens up a little window for chat, and the default is to send your chat message to everyone, which is fine. And you just type it on and press enter or return, depending on your computer, and it will post that question in the chat section. So that's how we're going to handle that. And it looks like most people have now muted themselves. All right. In fact, yep, looks good. So that's the main rule. This is being recorded. So after it's over, I will post the recording on the San Gorgonio chapter YouTube channel. And if you registered for this, which I think everybody did that's here, you got a reminder message today, and it had the link to that YouTube channel in that reminder message, but I may actually put it in the chat section now. Let's see if I have that handy. Let's see, which one is it? It's this one, I believe. I'm pretty sure that's it, hopefully. Maybe somebody can try it and make sure I put the right one in. I've got a whole bunch of different YouTube channels I have saved in a clipboard, and I'm pretty sure that's the Sierra Club one. So I want to say a little bit about Trail Talk was started when our outings program was canceled, but we have an outings program back up and running. And so in the events, outings and events section, it lists both the Trail Talk events and the outings, such as hikes and backpacks and that kind of thing. And before we get into the program tonight, I would like to introduce Julianne Anderson, who is one of the committee members, Trail Talk committee members, and she has an announcement to make. So I'm going to remove my spotlight and put it on Julianne. Oops, you're muted.
Thank you, John, and good evening, everyone. Just wanted to let everyone know that we at the Sierra Club San Gorgonio chapter have a connection with UC Riverside's Department of Biology. There's students there. Last year accepted a large donation of used gear, and we want to start that again this summer. I'm going to be meeting with one of the doctoral students, Catherine Nguyen, on Monday, and to take over the first load of used gear. And I wanted to invite everyone here to contact me if you have any used hiking or camping or backpacking gear that the undergraduate, master's, and doctoral students at UCR Department of Biology can use in their field work. As you know, they are required to go out in the field as part of their degrees, and a lot of the students, as you might expect, have a lean budget and can't afford expensive hiking and camping gear. So anything that we can provide that's lightly used is welcome, or even not so lightly used. Last year we provided backpacks, boots, hiking shoes, water bottles, backpacking stoves, things of that nature. And we're going to do it again this year. We've got tents, sleeping bags, day packs, larger packs, lights and lanterns of all kinds. So things like that. If you need to clean out your garage and donate it, I'm happy to come and pick it up from you if you are reasonably close to Riverside. I'll put my my number and email in the chat right now, and you can contact me. But it would be nice to help our UCR colleagues, our young colleagues there in their field work, and put our gear to good use, and spread the word about the Sierra Club so that our younger colleagues know that we exist and know something about what we do. So it's kind of a good liaison in that way. So again, I'll put it in the chat. And with that, I do want to introduce my esteemed colleague, Carla Kellums, intrepid outings leader and Trail Talk committee member, who will introduce John in properly and his program on Banff. So with that, Carla, take it away.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Want to give a shout out to a couple of our other outings leaders that are joining us. Joe, Chris, Norm, thank you guys for joining in. Just wanted to give a simple introduction about John Sinclair, who is one of our esteemed outings leaders. He's also the group outings chair for the Los Serranos group. And he does serve with myself and Julianne on the Trail Talk committee. And as the group outings chair for the Los Serranos group, that puts him as on the executive committee. Just want to add that John is a very avid storyteller. He's with the I believe it's Inland Valley Storyteller Group. So he gives very good presentations, and I did get a little sneak preview of this presentation, and the pictures are absolutely gorgeous. So he'll be talking tonight about hiking in the Banff National Park. I do want to give a quick announcement before I turn it over to John about next month's presentation. Is going to be San Bernardino Mountains Land Trust, Arrowhead Ridge Trail Enhancement Program. Anna Beechler, who is the trails coordinator for the summer, will be talking about that special project. And if any of you are familiar with the Arrowhead Ridge trail system, it is absolutely gorgeous, and you'll definitely won't want to miss that. So don't forget to sign up for that. So without further ado, John, go ahead and take it away.
Okay, I'll put the spotlight on me. And I just want to say the first link I put in the chat was the wrong one. It was to the Inland Valley Storytellers. But the second link I put in, I do believe works. And in fact, I will put it in again right now. Okay, so I'm going to share screen, and whoa, that's interesting. Okay, and I have to get rid of this floating meeting controls because it gets in my way. And then I will press play, and there we are. So, hiking in Banff National Park, presented by John Sinclair, Sierra Club outings leader. This picture is not taken in Banff National Park. this is my little plug for my patch program in the Cucamonga Wilderness. And so far this year, I have led Sierra Club hikes to all 7 peaks in the Cucamonga Wilderness, and the 7th one was Etowanda Peak. And Mark Willman and I are holding patches because we completed all 7 of those peaks. So that's my little plug there for that. But getting to Banff. So getting to Banff for me and my friends was flying by airplane from Palm Springs to Calgary. And it's a nonstop flight. I did a screenshot just the other day to kind of look at what prices are right now. WestJet is the name of the airline we flew on. And it's a nonstop 2-hour, 55-minute flight, very convenient. Palm Springs Airport is very user-friendly. It's much better than LAX, that's for sure. And conveniently located for many people in our chapter. And they have a weird pricing structure. There's 4 different kinds of tickets you can get, starting with bare bones economy flight, which you pay for everything extra you want. For instance, you have to pay for your bags. You have to pay if you want to be able to reserve a seat. You have no flexibility to change or cancel flights unless you pay an extra fee to do that. That's the cheapest. The most expensive, everything is paid for, but the most expensive ticket is $1,700 per person. On the screen, it shows premium from $975. That's the lower premium. The more expensive premium includes everything, including a meal on the flight and drinks and whatnot. But anyway, it was a reasonably good airline, and it took us to Calgary in the province of Alberta. So Calgary is located in the Western Canadian province of Alberta. The city has a population of 1,306,784. It's the 3rd largest city in Canada. And when we got off the plane, we had reserved a rental car, and we got in the rental car and we drove. Actually, we had 2 of them because there were 6 of us. We drove to Canmore, which is the closest major town to Banff National Park. And it was about a 50-mile drive. And if you look at the map, it really is due west. Calgary's on the right-hand side of this map, and Canmore's more in the middle. And it's a 14-mile drive from Canmore to Banff, the park's main town site, but you actually enter the main gate not too far outside of Canmore. And I want you to take a look at this map. In the kind of upper left-hand corner is Lake Louise, which was the major hike we did that I have most photos of. And as you can see from the map, it's probably about 40 miles from Canmore to get to Lake Louise. So in Canmore, we stayed in a quality resort. It's like the quality inns in this country. And it was a very nice hotel, had an excellent restaurant. The town of Canmore is easy to get to from Calgary. It's right off Highway 1, major highway, and a very nice little town. So the first day, we drove into Banff National Park and we did the Boom Lake hike. Now, this was a pretty easy hike. It was very little climb to it. The elevation gain for the whole trip was 200 meters, which is about 600 feet. And the trail was in good shape. If you look at the map at the bottom, coming out of Boom Lake is Boom Creek, and the trail falls right along very close to Boom Creek. And therefore, it was very green. Lots of trees, lots of shade. This is what the trail looked like. Very nice trail. This is what the lake looked like. Beautiful lake. Here I am next to the lake. Day two. Oh, actually, it wasn't day two. In the same day after we did that other one. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, for those of you who don't know kilometers, the Boom Lake hike was 6.6 miles round trip. Everything I got off the Banff National Park website, of course, was not in miles. It was in kilometers. So have to take that into account. So then later that day, we took another hike, a 3.2 mile round trip hike up Johnston Canyon to the upper falls. The hike to the lower falls is easy, and the hike to the upper falls is slightly steeper and harder. It is rated moderate. So to get to the lower falls is easy, to get to the upper falls is moderate. And it was a most unusual hike. It was not a trail. It was a walkway built into the side of the canyon above the river. And so you're right there, and you can lean out over the railing and take beautiful pictures like this. And here you can see it winds around as the river winds around. You can see in the upper left-hand corner is more of the walkway. So you're on this walkway the whole way. These are the lower falls. And if you look on the right-hand side, kind of upper right-hand corner, you'll see there's a walkway there with some people and like a tunnel or a cave. It actually is a tunnel, and you can go into there and see the falls right below you. And it looks like this. And then you come to the sign, and it's I don't know if it's halfway, but it's in between the upper and lower falls. And at this point, the trail does get a little bit steeper, but you're still on a walkway. And this is the upper falls, and we actually went a little bit past it, but I didn't get any pictures of that. It wasn't particularly interesting. This also had the walkway leave the main walkway and go to a tunnel that puts you right above the pool where the falls empty into. However, I didn't do it. I don't think anybody in our group did, because the line was so long. There were a lot of people out here doing this, so we didn't actually do that. But I took a picture from above, and then we headed back. So the next day was the big hike, Lake Louise. And Lake Louise is just stunningly beautiful. Now, I did not take this photo. This photo I got off the internet, probably taken from some lookout a little ways away, that or from a helicopter, looking down at Lake Louise with the Fairmont Chateau sitting on the edge of the lake. There are two hikes you can do. There are two tea houses you can hike to. We took the hike to the Plain of Six Glaciers tea house, which is 3.4 miles one way. So that's 6.8 round trip. And then we hiked beyond it. It says it takes most people around 4 to 6 hours for the round trip. It's well worth taking a short side trip from the tea house to the Abbott Pass viewpoint to take a look down into the crevices or crevasses on the lower Victoria Glacier. And we did that. So I don't remember a sign saying how far it was, but we hiked probably at least a mile or two beyond the tea house. So making that probably anywhere from 8 to 10 miles round trip, probably about 9 miles round trip that we did that day. Now, the other tea house is a shorter hike, and it actually is more crowded because it's a shorter hike. More people can do it. the one we took was a lot harder. In fact, one of our members of our group actually didn't go on the hike because she thought it was a little bit too difficult for her. So I walked, I should come back here before I do that and say something very important. If you go there, you must go early. We got up before the sun came up in Canmore, ate a quick breakfast and got on the road because it was a good 45-minute drive or 50-minute drive to get from Canmore to this place. And we got there at 6:45 and we got the very last parking place in the parking lot. And if we had been just a minute or two later, we would have had to turn around, go back down a ways and park in a big parking lot and then take a shuttle up to this. And then when we finished the hike, take a shuttle back down. It was definitely worth it to get up early to be able to park in the parking lot right next to the lake. So we parked, got out of the car and walked down to the boardwalk next to the lake, and we saw this view. And it was just stunning. And, you know, it's early in the morning. And as we were walking around taking pictures, the lighting would change. I took so many pictures of this lake with the reflection in it. And being early in the morning, there was no wind. So that's why we got this tremendous reflection, because the water was very, very still. And to your right, you can't see it, is the Fairmont Chateau. To the left, you can see the little bit of the canoe docks. They had canoes there you could rent and take out on the lake. So this is our group of 6. We had someone take our picture. Right there, about the same spot the other picture was. Then we walked over to the left and took this shot at the boat dock. Again, the lake is just so still and the reflection so beautiful. And then the lighting changed as you know, as the sun came up. Notice not as many red colors now. It's more light. And then I looked across the lake and took this picture of the Fairmont Chateau. And then we walked back and took another picture of from this point, walking back towards the Fairmont Chateau, because that's where the trail begins, is over on that side. And this is a little further on, closer to the chateau, little slightly different angle. Just beautiful reflections. And here we are kind of at the beginning of the trail, or close to the beginning. And Gary Muma took this picture. It's one of our group of the other 5 of us, and we're ready to go hiking. And this is what the trail looks like. So it does have some incline. And I want to call attention to that big rock mountain there on the left with the snow on top, because on the way down, we got to witness a most remarkable occurrence. And I don't know whether that snow on top of that is considered a glacier or just a snowfield on the top. Usually glaciers like carve out valleys over time and then dump off into a lake or an ocean, like in Glacier Bay, Alaska. And when they have part of the glacier fall off, it's called calving. And we either witnessed a calving, if that thing up there was a glacier, or it was just a giant avalanche. I'm not sure what to call it, but it got our attention. And I have some photos and a short video that Gary took to give you an idea of what happened. So here we are, over halfway up, I think. And Gary turned around, took my picture, and he supplied a number of the photos for this presentation. And there you can see the lake with that characteristic glacier melt look to it, and the Fairmont Chateau on the end. And then we got to the Plain of 6 Glaciers Tea House. And we ate lunch there, and it was a wonderful lunch. And it tasted really good because we had a light breakfast because we were in a hurry. And I believe, if I remember correctly, it was all vegetarian. I don't think there was any meat served, but they had amazing dishes. And I mean, it's like a Buddhist tea house is what it was. And so we ate there, and then went back to the trail, which went a little beyond and took us over to the glaciers. And there's the sign, and that was the beginning of that trail. And here we are on the trail going over to get closer to the glaciers. And there you can see, this is the stereotypical glacier, and I guess this is the Victoria Glacier. It's carved a valley out of the rocks. And the definition of a glacier, it's an ice field that moves. It's like a river that moves slowly. It's a river of ice. And when glaciers are no longer considered glaciers, which is happening due to global warming, it's because they no longer move, and then they're just called an ice field. But they're no longer getting enough snow and ice formed to keep the motion going. Here's another view of that. And it was a gorgeous day. Beautiful blue skies. And then we head back, and there's the lake, Lake Louise, with, you can barely see the chateau, the Fairmont Chateau in the end. And now I'm going to show off my Canon camera, which has a 30 times zoom. From this point, I took this picture. I zoomed in. Now, here is that point, that big rock mountain there. And you can see off to the left, there's stuff coming down that cliff. And what happened was we were heading down with our backs to that, and we heard this loud explosion, and we turned around, and we had mostly missed the, by the time I got my camera out, the big chunk that made the loud noise had already hit the bottom, and it was sending up clouds of snow dust, as you can see in this photo. I zoomed in so you can see a little bit better. But it's still dribbling down. The main chunk is gone, but it's still dribbling down. And then Gary made a video, and I'm hoping this is going to work.
Getting it, Gary? Everything rest.
He actually got his camera out a little before I did, because you can actually see more of the beginning of it. Whoops, that isn't what I wanted to do.
Getting it, Gary?
You can see a big bunch coming down there.
Everything rest.
And then we got back down to Lake Louise, and we could see the stream of the glacier melt coming in to the lake. And notice the color of the water. It's just full of minerals, and that's what gives that lake that characteristic glacial lake look. But the glacier grinds up the rock, and it's kind of an interesting look. Now I'm going to show off my camera zoom again. You can see the little red thing, that the canoes are red. And I zoomed in at this point. And there's the chateau with all the people canoeing around on the lake. We didn't do that. Here I am standing by the lake with the chateau in the background. Now, the next day, we actually drove down into the United States and went to Glacier National Park. But before we did, we went to another part of Banff called Vermilion Lakes. And we didn't really hike around there. We got out of our cars and walked around a little bit. You can see somebody in a canoe there. You can rent canoes, and the lakes are connected by streams. You can go from one lake to another lake. And in fact, I think the town of Banff is where you rent the canoes, and there's a stream coming, going by the town, and you get on it and you take the stream down to these Vermilion Lakes, and they're really pretty. Another gorgeous view. And that, my friends, is the end of my presentation, and I can stop the share, I think. Let's see if I can find the...
Yeah, John, those pictures were absolutely gorgeous. We did have a question in regards to what the cost is to get into Banff.
Oh, I don't remember, but it was probably, it was a per vehicle cost like it is at our national parks. And it was probably something like $20, $25. It may be more expensive now. I don't know. It wasn't terribly expensive. And you could buy a day's pass, or you could buy a week pass. And since we were in there 3 days, I think it worked out that we bought the week pass rather than each day buying a new day pass.
Yeah, how many lakes are kind of part of the complex of the Vermilion Lakes? Do you know?
No, I don't know how many. We looked at 2 different ones. And like I say, they're connected by streams, by a little river, and you can canoe through them. But we just wanted to, we did go back into the park to look at it before we headed down to the United States and Montana, because we had been told they were really pretty, and they were beautiful.
Yeah, and the time of year you were there, I believe it was in July.
Yeah, I didn't mention that. Yeah, it was, we left on like July 20th or 21st, I believe. And the weather was good. A week or 2 before, it actually snowed because this is pretty far north. But we had great weather, absolutely great weather.
And what time of year would you recommend going? I noticed you said there was quite a few crowds there in July. Would there be a better time to go, maybe to see flowers, or maybe less people?
Yeah, so we saw more wildflowers in Glacier than we did Banff. And I don't know if we would have seen more in Banff if we had gone a little bit later, because it is further north than Montana. But if you want to avoid the crowds, the best time to go is probably before school gets out, although it'd be quite cold in May, or go in September. You'll probably get less crowds in September, but you're not going to get wildflowers at that point. But this area has so much water, I'm sure it stays pretty green year round. And I think Julianne went to Banff in May, was it? Or was that Glacier you went to?
Oh, that was Waterton. We were
Waterton, yeah.
there 2 months ago, and it was beautiful. And as you said, John, we were there over Memorial Day, and it was cool. It was quite cool and rainy. When we hiked, we got pretty well soaked. But boy, it was quiet and lovely because the kids were still in school. And Waterton is beautiful also. It's the adjacent park to Glacier. And because we were there early, we couldn't take the going to the Sun Road through Glacier. We had to go around the park. So that was a bit of a drive. because we were coming in from the Kalispell area in northwestern Montana. But beautiful drive all the way around, and then up and into Canada, and into the town of Waterton Lakes where we stayed, and absolutely lovely, absolutely lovely.
Yeah, I
So,
think if you went to Banff in May, you may have problems with roads not all
Yeah.
being open. Because if you think about Yosemite, Tioga Pass sometimes doesn't get open till late May or early June.
So that's all the questions I saw in the chat. I guess if anybody else has questions and they'd like to unmute, you're welcome to ask John any of your questions. Otherwise, you could put them in the chat and I can relay them to him.
Right.
John, do you want to talk a little bit about bears and taking precautions up in Canada and in Glacier?
Oh yeah, I didn't mention that. So when we flew into Calgary, one of the first things we did, well, I guess it was in Canmore, we bought bear spray because that was recommended, was to buy bear spray. We never had to use it, but we each had our own can of bear spray, just as a precaution. We couldn't buy it here and take it with us on the plane because they don't allow that on the plane. And when we got ready to leave, we had to get rid of them. And I think, I don't know, I think there was a store in Waterton that would take unused bear spray from tourists at a reduced, they give you a pittance for the can, but you got rid of it and you got some money for it.
Did you see any bears while you were there?
We saw none in Banff. We did see some bears in Glacier National Park, but we didn't see any bears in Banff.
Were they black bears or grizzlies?
The bear that I saw in Glacier was a black bear. And it was very close to campground and stuff.
Well, what a beautiful presentation, John. Just stunning photos, as always. Thank you so much. Just beautiful.
Oh, thank you all for coming.
Yeah, thank you, John. Love the pictures. And looking forward to taking a trip myself one of these days.
Yes, yes. And straight up to Canadian Rockies, maybe to Jasper too.
Oh, there is one other announcement I want to make about outings. I had a rather unfortunate thing happen with my hikes into the Cucamonga Wilderness. The main trail that goes into the wilderness is called Icehouse Canyon, and the Forest Service closed it beginning of July. And it's going to be closed Monday through Friday until October 1st. And I usually do my hikes on Wednesdays because most of my hiking friends are retired like me. So in September, I'm going to try doing Saturday hikes because the Icehouse Canyon Trail is open on Saturday and Sunday. So anybody who's willing to start very early, because if you don't get there by 6:30, you don't get a parking place. It's weekends are very crowded in Icehouse Canyon, and I actually like to start at 6 to beat the crowds. And we'll see if I get anybody to sign up. Outings leaders turn in their outings for September and October, the end of July. So if you have any special requests for any of the peaks in the Cucamonga Wilderness on a particular Saturday or Sunday in September, let me know, and I may schedule it so that I have somebody to hike with.
Thanks so much, John. What a fabulous invitation and so beautiful up there. And for those of you that don't know, John is an intrepid hiker and just lovely to hike with. So do sign up, and hugely experienced in the area. So great guy to hike with. So do go to sangorgonio2.sierraclub.org and hit outings and sign up for John's hikes.
Which will appear the beginning of August for September and October.
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody for joining us, and feel free to check out the website, San Gorgonio chapter, under outings and events. That's where the hikes are posted.
And if you missed the beginning of this or want to look at it again, I'll have it posted on the YouTube channel. Probably tonight, but certainly by noon tomorrow. And with that, I think I will stop the recording. Let's see.